Welcome to Aging Wealthily, where we believe the good life doesn't expire at 40, 50, or even 65. It evolves. I'm Sean Smith, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Bridget Smith. Every week, we bring you soulful stories, smart strategies, spirited guests to help you age with intention, vitality, and joy. Today's guest, Arleen Tessman, is a powerhouse of emotional wisdom, a celebrated resilience coach and speaker. Arleen has helped thousands reframe midlife not as a breakdown, but a breakthrough. Let's dive into how we can all build our emotional bank accounts. From burnout to balance, grief to growth, Arleen shows us that emotional wellness isn't a luxury, it's a legacy. Let's dive into how we can all build our emotional bank accounts. Today's title or today's episode is Resilience is the New Rich. Hello, Arleen.
Hello, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Bridget, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Arleen, this story feels both personal and universal. Can you take us back to defining the moment that cracked you open and ultimately led you to this work?
Well, I'm not sure that it was just one moment, maybe just a progressive kind of desire through my life to help people. I was in the medical field for about 20 years. I was an x-ray tech for 20 years, and it just wasn't really feeding my soul. I didn't feel that. I love the patients. Let me just say that. I love the people that I was working on. My fellow employees, I enjoyed working with them too, but the more of the overall bureaucracy of hospital, and it just didn't feel like it was health care. You know, I felt that there was a lot of other things going on, money-wise and everything, that didn't really bring the health to the people that should get it. And that's just my personal opinion. And so I felt that I needed to find a different avenue to fulfill my own creative self and to help others in some way.
Okay. And so at what point did you understand or learn that magnetic mind was the thing that would bring you that form of fulfillment or completion?
Well, in 2006, I left the X-ray world. And since I'm also a musician, I just went out and I started working as a musician full time. And I did that for a very long time. And then right before COVID happened, I was introduced to this magnetic mind system. That was almost like a secondary step because I was already doing workshops that were energetically beneficial for the people who took the workshops, because I would do different exercises for relaxation. We would sing certain things, hum, and just get everybody to a state of relaxation. And it was called Heal Your Heart, Find Your Voice. So people were relaxing as well as singing. It was very, very just like a fulfilling thing. But then I found the magnetic mind and I learned about the processes, and they worked on me. So I felt, if this stuff is working for me, I want to learn more about it. I learned more about it. I became certified as a magnetic mind coach, and I've been helping people since then. And this has been for the last 5 years now. I've been doing that. Yeah.
So just for our audience, and I know I brought in a new term because a lot of people haven't heard of magnetic mind. So could you explain what a magnetic mind is and sort of its purpose?
Magnetic mind just simply means that we are attracted to what we want. Our desires are now being pulled to us, and we're finding ways of having them come to us instead of pushing them away. And we'll talk about more about what it is that causes that.
Cool. So our desires. Our desires. So, and as we know, like we're human beings and we're energy, right? We're comprised of energy. So our desires, our inward desires, are actually like a magnetic force, you're saying, that brings things to us. And sometimes we can do things that kind of push them away, or so we can do things that will invite them and we can actually embrace them. Is that, am I understanding?
Absolutely. Our subconscious mind sometimes tries to protect us from different things. If you want something that's completely like not in your wheelhouse, let's say, but you want to try it, you want to give it a try, you have a challenge. I want to do something new. The subconscious doesn't like new things. Your subconscious mind is very important because it will it takes care of all the systems in your body. Your heart beats, your lungs work, your nervous system works, all the electrical impulses happen. You don't have to think about that. Your subconscious mind takes care of that. But the other part of it is it puts us in fight or flight. And in caveman days, maybe someone had, they were afraid of a bear or whatever, and when they were done with that, they were done. Now we seem to carry that with us. So when there's new things, the subconscious mind puts in a block. It says, no, don't do that. You might fail. You might get hurt. You might this or you might that. Some people can just go right through it. Others, a majority of people, have difficulties going through these blocks and not coming up with procrastination or other things that just don't let them take that next step. And that's where I come in. I help them take the next step.
So, in Bridget and I, we've had this conversation how when you can tell me if I'm on the right course or not, because I haven't done the magnetic mind course, but sounds like something I definitely would like to partake in and would benefit me. But we talk about how things come across your senses. Right. And all the time, there's things that they're finding their way in your subconscious mind. And those things that are embedded in your subconscious mind, whether you are aware of them, a lot of times you're not. You don't pay them any attention. It just happens. But they do drive our thoughts. They drive our behaviors in certain ways. And some of them could be positive. Some of them could be negative. So if I'm understanding, or and maybe you can help me and guide me if I'm wrong, but are you saying that the magnetic mind helps you to program or reprogram those subconscious mind, or recognize some of the things that are there, that are prevalent there, that may be causing you to manifest limiting behaviors?
It's partially having awareness that it's happening, what's happening with your subconscious when you're doing things and you feel like that feeling is coming that's stopping you. Magnetic mind will help recode, rewire, bring down resistance that is causing this stuff to stop you. So I do processes that go into the superconscious field, a field of all data. It's data that has always been there, will always exist, just a collective consciousness of data. But when you have something that is, this big in your mind, and it's blocking you, if you can shave that down, it may still exist, but now you can work through it.
Okay. So I love the topic, because Bridget and I both, we have been on a real mission, right, to make people conscientious of their own mind, right? And the thoughts and their feelings, right? We are on a mission lately to actually get people to take command and take charge of their mental health, to try to combat some of the stigmas that are around mental health. And what you're talking about sounds like it's something that's valuable and beneficial to a lot of people, and that it can actually help you to, well, as you talk about, breaking through barriers. I know that there, in my own life that, I've actually talked to people and gone and, spoken to counselors and therapists to help me deal with home trauma in my own life. And one of the things that I was instructed to, that he actually instructed me to do was to, he told me that I was in a situation where I was hitting limits, right? I was hitting these barriers that you're talking about, and that there was trauma, there was experiences in my life that caused me to be able to hit this barrier, and that I would not be able to break through the barrier until I addressed what was holding the hindrance, or what was there, that blockage. And lo and behold, he was right. He was right, because once I was able to do that, I was able to experience better relationships and with people in my life. Now, is everything perfect in every relationship? Absolutely not. Relationships work, but understanding that there are, and I'm just able to relate because I understand that there are those things that cause you to hit these barriers, and that you need to address and be able to learn how to break through. And oftentimes, it's not anything that you can see or recognize on your own. That sometimes it has to be pointed out to you sometimes, most times, because we kind of live, I know me, I live in my own world. Sometimes we kind of write our own narrative, right? But sometimes you're not seeing you or seeing things, you don't have the same outlook as the inlook. So I think it's important.
We all need that outside influence to, the positive influence, obviously, to make us aware of things that we might not see. What makes Magnetic Mind different from regular therapies is we don't ever try to fix anything. Sometimes you may have a block and you do not know where it comes from. You do not know. You might think you know, but there are so many things that could be affecting you for a particular thing. So what the processes that I do can accomplish is to not necessarily pinpoint what it is, but lessen your feelings when you get triggered. So you have a trigger come up, and now you can't do anything because your heart's racing or whatever happens to you because you want to do this thing. You want to lose weight, whatever. You go in and you grab something more to eat. It's like the negative, like you get this negative feedback loop, instead of the positive feedback loop. We don't necessarily need to know that when you were a child, something happened and it caused you wanted to feel better, so now you had something, because sometimes things can come from way back. They can come from your generational family. They can come from DNA. And whether or not you believe in past lives, these are things that you're bringing into this life. The point is to feel better, to feel good enough to do the process that will get you to your desire. Not so much taking time to figure it out. And it's great if you can figure it out, that's great. Sometimes it comes from you don't really know where. You don't really know. And even if you think you do, it could still come from even deeper, way deeper. We're talking like 7 generations it could come from. And when you're talking past lives, who even knows what that looks like, unless you did all those regressions and all of those things, But so I address releasing or reducing the resistance to what is affecting you, instead of doing all the figuring out.
Now, let's say without giving it all away, right? You can't, but if I were to say, you know what, I want to make this a part of my life, right? What would be the first step?
Make an appointment with me.
Okay.
Well, your first steps are really to feed your mind with positive things. Get off the TV. Do some meditating twice a day is optimal. If you have 20 minutes for each session, you meditate. I don't know if you pray or whatever, morning, night. Read positive books, listen to positive audios. Just get into that positive lifestyle. And sometimes you'll just realize you're hearing other people talking, like you might be at a restaurant and they're just talking about every malady, their diseases, their, who's doing this, who's doing that, gossiping and all of those things. All of that really builds up on top of what you already have. Mm-hmm. So in order to be more positive, you have to have positive habits. And those will slowly push away that black ball of energy that you've created. When the white ball of energy is even a little bigger than that black ball, things will just skyrocket for you. So just start doing positive things. Yeah.
I think we kind of experienced a lot of that because I think one of the things we stopped doing was we stopped listening to people who were close to us, a lot of the friction that was happening in their relationships. Yes. Because we noticed that the more we listened to it, somehow those problems kind of come over to us. Like, wait a minute, that's not our issue. What are we arguing about? We'd sit there and tell me, wait, how do we end up in an argument? Because it is. So, we had to say, you know what, we gotta not bring this in here, right? Let's not bring this into our home and bring this in our relationship. And one thing we try to do, and we're both very prudent in this, is very careful about the influences that I allow around me. I don't want to ever, if I'm going to allow somebody to be in my inner circle, inner sanctum, then you have to be bringing good energy, Absolutely. And I don't mind, but I don't mind if someone's looking to grow, if you're looking to learn, by all means. But if you're gonna, I come with that energy, and the bad energy, let's put it over here. Unless you're coming for a purpose of you want to learn or grow, because it's too much. And I understand exactly what you're saying. To say once you find your place, right? I'll say it, my place. Those things become weighty. So even, to sit back and listen to someone and, you're listening to what's going around you and it's just, I don't want to, I don't have time or the energy to carry that. I want to be in a place that's going to feed my energy, feed my spirit. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's those kind of people around you, is there a way that you can guide the conversation so that they're you can ask them questions perhaps about other things and get them off the subject, Yeah. So, and I mean, everybody has friends and family members who are they're just downers. I mean, they just are. And what it is, it's almost like when you start feeding into this negativity, they get swallowed. It swallows you, where the positive is light and airy and up, and this other stuff is just like, it just brings you down, and it's sometimes hard to rise up out of that. And it almost feels your ego wants that. You see, your ego wants to live there, where that voice, it's always, what we want is for it to be saying good things to us, not, no, don't do that. No, who's that? No, why? What's the clothes they got on? Yeah. It's, what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, we want to change all of that. And like I said, if you're having conversations with people who aren't exactly your cup of tea or a good frequency or vibration for you, you have to kind of either somehow walk away, oh, I got a phone call or whatever, or you just change the conversation.
And honestly, I've actually practiced that in my life in some instances, and you will find that, sometimes you'll find that they'll find their way away from you anyway.
Exactly, because they're not ready for that. They're like, oh my God, that guy Sean, why is he so happy all the time?
Yeah, for sure.
It's weird to some people that it's just that we're bombarded by all this information, all this negative information. You don't even realize you're driving down the street and the billboards and all of those things. You go to the store, it's all like it triggers you to get into a certain state of mind where perhaps those who are selling their products or whatever want you there, But you have to be very careful about that. And why do you want these things? Was it because you were programmed on like you were watching TV and you saw this commercial like 300 times, so now you think that you need that? Right. You not using your own mind. You're using a program that was placed there. Right. Right. So you need to discern and you need to know why. Why do I want that? Even the desires that people come to me about. Why do you want that? What would that do for you? And that's where you have to come from, is from a place where it's from your heart, it's from your higher self. What is it that this will bring to you to make your life happier and more peaceful and beneficial to others around you?
Absolutely. And it's very, it's actually very enlightening, and it's actually very true if you look back and you just look back on your own life, look back in your own existence, and the understanding magnetic mind and that energy, whatever energy you were putting out, and how it drew and brought to you more energy that way, and whatever it was, whether good energy, bad energy, but it was same like energy that came in your direction. And it's just a matter of time. And I see it, you see it in business, you see it in your personal life, you see it in many different ways. Once you start giving off that energy, and it takes a little while, right? But you're putting it out there, it will draw, you'll find yourself drawing the people who are like you. You'll find yourself, which could be good and bad. You'll find yourself with the opportunities that will be drawn to you that are on your wavelength, right? And it's important. I remember, I want to say it was Jim Carrey. He was poor. He was an actor, but he was dirt poor, and he wrote down the amount of money that he was going to make, and I believe it was $10 million, and the date in which he was going to have it. And he received a check for that amount of money on or prior to that date. I don't remember the exact story, how the exact story went, but he received that check. He made that money that he had put out there. He had put that energy out, and it came to him. And there are a million stories, right, of the same type of success. Because, just like it could be success, it could work to your detriment too. But if you're going to do it, you're going to practice it. Why not practice it in a way that's going to make you successful? But the energy, and it just happens in so many different, and you can see it if you really think back on it, you really look at it, you'll see how it's been at work in your life for your whole life.
Absolutely. It works 24/7. The law of attraction, which is, the famous kind of what everybody knows, the law of attraction, it works from the moment, like it's working all the time, 24/7. So whatever you're putting out is what's coming back to you. So you need to be prudent and have the right thoughts and have the right feelings. Like somebody like Jim Carrey, he wrote his statement and he believed his statement. He believed it, and he probably read that statement many times a day, every day, making it just like that programming, but you're programming a positive thing. You have to believe it. If you don't believe it, you're not going to get it, or you may get a portion of it, not exactly what you really were looking for. So you really have to believe it. You really have to practice looking at it and reading it and putting it in places where, you know, a little piece of paper in your pocket, in your car, there's something on your car. There's so many ways to just see it all the time. You can have a board with, you know, pictures and writings and all of the things that you want. It's very important to keep it, because if not, you're going to be thinking about something else. Right. You know, and that's not going to allow you to get what you want. Speak it into existence, especially, and write it. Once you write something, you've taken a thought and you've made it kind of concrete. Now you wrote it. It's on that paper now. And now you read it. And you might change it. You know, you might, you know, what are the things that I want? You write it all down. If it's a certain amount of money that you want, you write down the amount of money that you want, and what are you going to do with that money? Like, it's got to be real. You can't just say, well, I want to, you know, what are you going to do with that? You know, are you going to tithe? Are you going to, you know, get a new home? Are you going to, you know, provide for other people? What are you going to do with that?
Absolutely.
And what are you going to do to get it, to gain that money?
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to add, because you're saying you got to write it down, you have to see it, but it's not all writing it down and seeing it, because it has to be back. You know, now you got this, now you have to back it with some action.
Sure, you have to have action.
But I will promise you, right? And I'll promise anybody, and I'll challenge anybody to go do it. Once you start putting that energy out there, and you've got this written down, you program this in your mind, you're doing this, and you start movement in that direction, everything that you need to know, everything that what you would need to learn and what you would need to do to accomplish that, well, you will find it, and it will find its way to you.
In an easier fashion than kind of doing action without the belief behind it. It's kind of like, it's difficult. If you believe it and you do, you can, your belief has to be like 90%, and your action can be 10%, and it just will go. It will go, and you'll be happy doing the action. But see, so that's where I come in, is that kind of the action, because let's say you want to write a book, and I'm like, okay, you want to write a book? That's fabulous. You know, have you written anything down? No. I don't have time, you know, my kids and this and that. And it's like, okay, so when you wake up in the morning, do you have 5 minutes, or do you have 1 minute to write one word? Just write one word. Do something. Don't just say, I can't, because I can't. No, you can. You just have to take those small moments, and then all of a sudden, you're going to start getting excited, going, where's this going? Where's my story going? And you're going to start writing more, and you're going to start taking more action, because it builds a habit. You have to build a habit.
Right.
Absolutely. Sort of like when we were in school, Bridget and I, and we had taken a class, and it was a class on business and, you know, writing out business plans. And one of the things that it called on you to do was say, listen, you have these assignments. I know your first thing it was said, you know, people, you don't have time. Well, write down what you're doing during the day. Take this week, in the first week, write down what you're doing every hour of the day. Write it down. And then you'll find that how much time that you're allocating to things that don't benefit.
Absolutely.
And you can actually, put toward things that benefit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's all about prioritizing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so, and you have all the opportunity. There's plenty of opportunity there. Do I want to watch General Hospital? Do I want to watch whatever show you're watching on TV, Jeopardy, whatever it is? Or do I want to take that half an hour to write my book? And then if you do that 5 days a week, at the end of the week, you spend 2.5 hours writing your book.
Absolutely. A lot of work can get that way, you know, but the thing is that people look at the end result and they want to be there. Like, there's my book. It's like, you know, 1,000 pages or whatever. It's like, oh my God, that's so big. I can't really get my head around that. And that's fine. That's the dream. You want to be an author. Great. Well, what can I do today to take that one jump into it? What can I do? So if you're having problems even getting to that point, that's when you need that help. You need the extra, oh man, I feel like I can do this today.
Yes.
When you sit and you do a little bit,
Absolutely.
and then the next day you're like, and then when you start feeling that your blockage might be coming up because of other reasons, or that one just keeps coming up because it's like, you have to exercise the muscle. Exercise, do what you need to do what you need to do what you need to do. And one day is like, I'm not going to go to the gym today. Oh, okay. Well, you might not go the next day, because something came in again and is stopping you. So you need to release whatever that could be bothering you. So it's a process. You're not going to, well, maybe you will, but most people are not going to have one process done that I can offer them, and that's their magic pill. It's not a magic pill. It's a development, a development of release and bringing in things that will benefit you.
Absolutely. So,
No, I was going to ask, like, how many sessions does it?
It depends on the person. I have people that work with me for long periods, and I have people that just take off like a rocket ship. Because they've kind of figured it out. They're like, oh, okay, all I got to do is this, and then I can do it. I speak to people that are business people. They look at me and like, that never happened to me. I'm like, you're awesome, You're awesome. You just do what you want to do. And that's how it should be for all of us. But we're just bombarded, like I said, with all of this information, and what your mind plans on holding on to, it holds on to.
absolutely.
And if you attach an emotion to it, it's even more powerful. Either way.
Yes.
If you got something positive and you put some happiness and you put some excitement into that, you're going to move forward very quickly. Whereas if you got, oh my God, I got a pain over here, and it's just like every day, every second, that's all you're doing. Got a pain. That thing is going to just explode. And, not that you don't have the pain, but how can we look at it in a different way? Right. It's like, oh, I got this, but the rest of me is good. Right. I got a little thing over here, whatever, The rest of me is good. 99% of me is great. So reframe.
Mm-hmm. As a term that we're actually working with, because one of the things that we are launching here at Aging Wealthily is we have a segment that's coming out. It's going to be daily shorts, and it's called Shattering Myths. And right in line with what you're talking about is we're taking a myth every day and we're busting it, and we're going to expose it. We're going to reframe it. And we're going to give the people the truth that they can build on. And there's a million of them out here. And these myths are in most instances, these limiting beliefs that have no true merit, no true value, no truth in them. But there's something that we've been told or we've been holding on to, like you said. Some of them are generations old, right? And they've just been handed down throughout the time. And because who we heard them from, we believed them. Maybe because it was told to us at the right time, that we associated with something that happened in our life, that we give it value or give it credit, wherever it comes from. But if you could dispel, to sit back and say, wait a minute, oh, this is not real. Set yourself free from that belief, or even reframe it in a way that says, makes it actionable. Right now, you see a whole different outcome. You feel differently, you act differently, you respond differently in certain circumstances. It's just a win-win all the way around. And I hear you say that you talk about how you sit with business people and you sit with all. Our audience is predominantly people middle age, 35 and up. And the people that you work with, are you finding that they're younger people, more middle-aged people, or older? Or do you have like a diverse clientele?
I usually work with kind of like middle-aged folks. I have actually helped by proxy, in a way, a young child through the mom. I worked with the mother because she wanted me to work with the child, and she said, well, you know what, I want to work with you first and see if this is going to be a fit, for us. So I started working with the mom, and in turn, her child got better. So because her thoughts were now different, or her feelings were different, or she was able to release certain things, the child was now more, the child had an issue with Tourette's, and she was more calm. Wow. Didn't feel like the charge, kept hitting her to create, the Tourette's. Wow. So the child did better because the mother, we're all so super connected, and especially like a mom and her child, that it was amazing to me because I know that she was benefiting from it, the mom, but to have the child also receive benefit. Like there were times that I would go to her home and we would work together at her home, and the child would be doing something else, and she wouldn't have any episodes whatsoever during that time. Wow. I'm not saying that would work for everybody, but it was just an example that how transcending this work can be, how us bettering ourselves can create this whole environment of peace and tranquility.
Right.
I like how that sounds.
So in that case, I kind of, it was, the child was involved, but I haven't had the luxury of working with young children. It's usually anyone from like in their 20s to whenever, to whatever age. Because people, you gotta have your dreams. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're not dreaming, you're dying. So, gotta have the dreams.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel that, well, I wouldn't say feel, but in this time, in this era, this day and age, with how rapidly things are changing, right? I don't think we've ever seen things moving as fast in history as we are right now. I mean, with technology and social media and all these different things, everything that comes across us on a daily basis. This sounds like it's something that can help to kind of navigate or better navigate the world that we're in, right? Because like I said, I see so many people are having difficulty because it's overwhelming, right? Because they're constantly being bombarded with things. But just being able to assist with processing information and processing things and understanding our own feelings. I don't know, can you just expound on that?
I think that a lot of anxiety comes from all of these externals. Things that don't really affect us per se in what we want in our lives, but it's so apparent and so there that we bring it in and internalize it. It's very important to know what it is, what you want, number one, move towards that, and drop the externals and don't let those things affect you as much. And social media, if it's something that you're doing that involves that, what a better time. You have all of that you can work with and people that know a lot about it and what have you. Just disconnect with things that don't apply to you. They they're not going to benefit your life, you know. And a lot of times people just focus on that stuff, and it just brings anxiety, it brings worry, it brings, oh my gosh, you know, the world's going to end, and you know, all of that, all those things that we're told that on a day-to-day basis to what we want. It does not affect us in that way. You can be an advocate for those things if that's your dream to do that. If your dream is having great relationships, you know, making more money, whatever, concentrate on what it is for you.
Right.
And drop the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree, because I see so many young people, even sometimes in our own children, how you see they look at social media, look at people's lives on social media, and they think that maybe that should be them. But you always have to remind them that these are cherry-picked moments in this person's life. In some cases, it's an outright lie and illusion. And it's there because they want to build a following, and they want to make money, and they want to do all these things. Life is real. Life is real. The things you talk about there, those barriers, those things we have to work through, those things we have to, you know, those procrastinations, they're real. Everybody experiences them, right? It's what you do in the face of them. How do you overcome them? Are you willing to do the things that's going to overcome them? Are you willing to do the things that it would take you, it would call it, that it will take to get to the next level in life? All those things are always going to be there. But it's how you confront them is where the problem is. And sometimes we have to learn how to confront them. And that's where I believe you come in. Because, you know, there's so many times maybe we haven't been taught. Maybe sometimes we were taught and didn't listen. I think that's my kids. but there's all those experiences. And there's nothing, someone told me this when I was younger, that, you know, and I was somebody who, like, well, I was very young, like, so I was very influential. This is why I'm careful what influence I have around me now. But I would look, and, you know, you're young and you see somebody, you're sometimes just in awe of somebody. Oh, wow, look what they're doing. This and that. So, you know, why do you spend so much time, as young, this was a very young man at this time, why do you spend so much time being in awe of what this person is doing? There's nothing that any person on this planet is doing that you can't do. We're all made up of the same thing, right? We all have the same makeup. If they're doing it, you can do it. Somebody else can do it. Anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
You just have to spend your time doing the things it's going to take to put you in that position, rather than sitting back watching somebody else do it.
Yeah. And you might see them at towards the tail end of what they've been working on. So you see that success, you see all of that. You don't see all the work that they did to get there.
Absolutely.
It just didn't happen. Things just don't happen like that. You have to apply yourself. You have to do it. So sometimes people will watch something like the movie The Secret, you know, which is it's great. And I recommend that highly for people to see. There's the action piece that goes with that you need to realize that if I'm sitting here all day long dreaming of $1 million and I'm just sitting here, I'm not opening up the avenues for it to come to me. I'm just sitting here dreaming about it. You can dream all you want, but you have to come back to earth and do the things that are necessary to create that, to create the opportunities, to create the people that come into your life, to create the events that will create that forward motion to what you want.
Yes.
And in the study, you need to study. If it's money, you got to start watching things about money, people that know about money, that you can learn, and all of those things. You can, I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to get it. That's great. Okay, that's it. You dreamt it, and now you got to do something about it.
Something. And that's what we were talking about. And once you take that first, you start taking those steps, then you start putting out that energy. And it's, you know, and we talk about energy, but, you know, like I said, it's, you know, it comes down to, it has to be sincere energy. You have to, it has to come from that, you know, you have to really believe that this is this is that you can attain what you're going to set out on. But you also have to, really say, what, you have to be dedicated, you have to be committed. I remember I was talking to a group of young men, and we were talking about basketball players, or just, I used the analogy was basketball players. And I learned it from, they have Malcolm Gladwell, who talked about you put 10,000 hours into something, you become an expert. He wrote a book called Outliers and talked about how people became as great as they were. I was talking to a young man, and we're talking about basketball, and they talk about Kobe Bryant, and how great they wanted to be like Kobe. And I told him, I said, Kobe had something that a lot of people rarely ever talk about. When they talk about him, they see the moments and hitting the big shot. They see the 5 championships. They don't say, but talk rarely. More so now that he's no longer alive, but then you hear him talk about it. But rarely did they ever talk about the amount of work that he put in, and that he had what was a single-mindedness of purpose. Right? He knew that basketball was him. This is what he wanted to do. This is his passion. This was the end all be all for him. He was going to be great at it. And he was in the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning. He was there practicing. They might have practice at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. He'd already be there working out, practicing. When his teammates came in there 5 minutes before practice, they would come in, they'd practice for the hour, and then they'd leave. He would still be there. That type of dedication and commitment has to be rewarded. It's nature, it mandates it.
Of course.
Anytime you put in that kind of work. So importance is understanding who we are, right? I'm definitely on the same page with you. And then understanding, like, okay, what am I doing? Right? What now you got it all written down. I'm gonna get up in the morning and go to the gym at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. comes, the alarm clock goes off, you look over, shut it off, lay back down. Now, wait a minute. Why didn't I get up? Well, let me call Arleen, because I need to understand this one.
Well, those kinds of things are very important, because let's say you had an appointment with me at 5 a.m., okay, because we're going to do something, we're doing a project together. You may probably do that more than break the promise to yourself. It's easier to break a promise to yourself than someone else. So you let yourself down. And that is also something that really affects us. And you might not think that it does, but now you've told your subconscious, it's okay if I don't have to do that. If I choose in the morning not to go, then I don't have to go. So, that's not a success habit. Success habit is to say, here's the appointment that I made, and I'm going to do it. Whether it's with me, whether it's for you, it doesn't matter. You have to do what you say you do. And then that also brings into that you're now a person of character. You say what you're going to do. You have integrity. So you need to have integrity with yourself.
I'm talking to my wife. No, I think you've been talking to my wife. No,
That's what we do at 5 in the morning.
No, it's funny because I can get up and be out of bed 5, 4, whatever time it takes, not go to sleep. If it's something that my word is on the line but when it comes to me, sometimes I went through it. I've been going through it for the last couple of weeks because I've been telling myself that I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I haven't done it. But, because now if I had promised someone that I had to do something else, the other morning I had to give my daughter a ride to work. She had to be to work at 7. I had to get up, I got up at 5 something to get dressed and take her to work. No problem. But when it came to me and it comes to me going to the gym, it's like, yeah, I have to put myself on the hook the same way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I definitely, that's powerful. I received that because I see it at work in my own life.
Yeah, and those are things that I do address during some of the processes that I do, is to change that so that you're excited about getting up and doing something that you promised yourself, instead of, oh man, what a drag, I got to get up and I got, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, if we gotta, like you said before, reframe, but it's not only, there has to be an emotion with it that I know this is going to be good for me. So I'm going. Right. I'm going because I mean that much to me.
Yeah. And as I sit back and I think about it, and this, let me just put them out for everybody listening. It works. It works because what she's talking about is the absolute truth. Because I know one thing that I'm thinking about is everything. Like, I got to start working out. I'm going to be sore for a couple of days. I got to go, oh man, be tired. I'm thinking about everything that comes with it, but not thinking about the benefit and the reward and how once you get through that, that feeling, how good you're going to feel. And that you start, once you get in a habit of working out, you're looking forward to it. You're like, oh man, if I don't work out today, you're not right. All the time is that we sometimes those emotions that we attach to a thing can be negative, or we can reframe it and attach it to something that's positive, and you're more inclined to do it when you feel good about it than it is if you sit back saying, so yeah, I see it.
And we're living in a world of instant gratification. You can just go right on the internet. You need to find something out. And you got the answer. Everything's right there. Boom, 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 boom. But you want to go to the gym. You're not, that day when you get home, there's not going to be a visible difference. It's visible after you've done a lot of work, and it's not instant gratification, but the gratification that comes from all of that totally supersedes anything else. You feel so good. You've done something that other people will just be talking about, and you actually go and you do it. Right. Mm-hmm. That's and that's not really how you would judge it for yourself. For yourself, it's just like, I did something that was good for me, But other people do. They'll look at you and they're going, what are you doing? Well, I'm getting up at 5 and I'm going to the gym every day. That's how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I can imagine, and I don't know if you could tell us, with each step taken, does it become easier?
Sure, because you start getting confidence. You see that it's working for you. And I also have people that, they get to a certain point and then they get triggered and then I don't see them. And then I know that when they call me 6 months later, they tell me, I don't know what happened. You didn't do the work. That's what happened. You didn't do what you needed to do. Yeah. And if you're serious about it, then do the work that's necessary. And the triggers sometimes could be quite, devastating and just like, your heart may race. You just feel so uncomfortable. But you feel worse if you don't do what you really want to do in the end. You might feel better in the moment when you're like, I didn't go to the gym, that's great. Just turn over and go back to sleep, But later on, you're like, all this time went by and I still didn't do that and I wanted to do that. Yeah. Why didn't I do that? Why do I keep just, saying it's okay with myself? Why? And that's all those subconscious beliefs. Sometimes people have come from certain families that, or people in their family that tell them, why would you want to do that? You're almost like making the family look bad because you're doing so well. Like, it's the weirdest thing, and you fall for it. Well, I don't want to make them feel bad. Right. Well, just do what you got to do for yourself. Right. But it's ingrained and it's in there. And these are the things that need to be unearthed and just released to the universe. The universe knows what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Just let it out. Let it go. No more baggage. How wonderful to feel free of not having all this stuff that's weighing you down. It's like you got a sack of rocks on your back every day, and you're just trying to make it through the day because you got all this weighing you down. It's not even real.
Absolutely.
Not real. Yes.
So, what is of the people that you work with, and I know we're not looking for specifics, but what is the most significant change that you've seen in someone that you work with?
I have this one person who was very reactive to everything and wanted to create a passive income stream, a really good one. And the job that this person has, very stressful job, always reactive and not responding. Right now, this person's at a point where they're like smooth sailing. They feel really good every day. Nothing is like a major catastrophe, and they feel very liberated. To me, that's huge success for someone, especially in a high stress position. And the income stream is doing very well as well. So it's all about just being able to flow, and for this person, everything, they were told they were too sensitive about everything and this and that. And to an extent, yeah, I guess, now it's like information instead of like, this comes at you. Okay, it's a piece of information. How am I going to look at that and work with that instead of getting all mad or afraid or, oh boy, it's this big thing. It's not. It's just information. So that's how they look at it now. Okay, let me look at that and see what I could do with that. And there's no blow-ups. There's no arguments. It's just, let me view it, and look at it in this way. And they feel so much better every single day, every day, every day.
That's wonderful. So if we have listeners who are out there and they are interested in participating in Magnetic Mind, what are the first steps they should take?
They should contact me through my website, and it's beitto.com. And they can reach me there. They can send me a direct message, or they can make an appointment right through there.
Okay, and we'll have that down in the comments on this underneath this podcast. So,
or they can just go, Arleen at beitto.com, whatever, if they want just more info. Sure.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm. Now, if you wanted to leave a piece of advice, a word for our listeners after this podcast, what would it be?
I believe that you have it in you to do what you want. You have to want it. You have to have the desire. And even if you're scared, there's ways to work around that. Working with me or with whatever modality that works for you. I'm not saying this is the catch-all, get-all of everything. It has to resonate with you. And if it does, that's wonderful. Just know that we are all extensions of the universe. We are all very powerful beings. We don't need all the talk, the back talk that we sometimes have in our heads. That is your best friend that you hate the most. Don't listen to that. Listen to your heart. You can do it. I can help you if you like, or you can find other ways of getting there. And we all want to be a successful society, regardless of what you see as success. Just to be happy, to be peaceful, to have bliss, to have great family relationships, great friendships, doesn't have to be money, doesn't have to be things. Those things, in the end, don't bring us that inner peace and joy. So know that you have it in you, and you can do it. You can do it.
No.
Yes.
Well,
Said.
Thank you.
yeah. And I think that's a great note to close on. We'd like to thank you, Arleen, for coming and joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And we definitely
Sean, thank you.
look forward to having you back again soon. Your Magnetic Mind program sounds great and something that's very needed in our society for today. Bridget, thank you for being a part of our set and being a part of the show and being a part of my life. Thank each and every one of the listeners that are out there who listen to our podcast. If you are in the Middletown area, make sure you stop by the Main Street Marketplace building at 386 Main Street in Middletown. There are 4 great restaurants and some great specialty stores in the building. If you are looking for office space and you want a great place to launch and grow your business, contact Mike Stone at Stone Point Properties. There are some great office spaces available. If this episode has been sponsored by A Touch of Love Home Care, where we put compassion in every action, love in every touch. If you are in need of home care services, of assistance for yourself or for a loved one, feel free to give us a call at 203-927-7543. That's 203-927-7543. This is Aging Wealthily, and I remind you to look out starting on Monday of next week for our segment called Shattering Myths, where we will be taking a myth every day and unraveling it and using it to empower you to go further in life. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and people, take charge of your health, take charge of your wealth, take charge of your mind. Goodbye for now.